Here she is, Miss.
It's with my grandma's name. Please. Yeah.
Okay, good to go?
Yes.
Okay. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the investment meeting for October 2022. Please make your introductions to the record.
Stephanie Zimberg, representing Police Commissioner Sewell.
Allison Hirsch, representing Controller Bradlander.
Steve Meyer, I'm an invited participant.
John Dorsett, alternate designee for Control Bradlander.
Designee for Mayor Eric Adams.
Human Ray, designee for Finance Commissioner, Preston Nightlife.
Rob Appling, Wilshire, by invitation of the trustees. Joel Alejandro, PBA.
Chris McGrath, PBA by invitation.
Arthur Regner from the PBA.
Armando Acosta, Axiom, here by invitation.
Nicole Jambrisi, Police Pension Fund, present by invitation.
Anthony Bradley, SBA. Jeffrey Ward, DEA.
Lou Turco, LBA.
Chris Monahan, CEA. Come on.
Angela Miller, present by invitation of Police Pension Fund.
Bob Sanskisted, Pension Fund, present by invitation. Kevin Holleran, Pension Fund, present by invitation. Law Department? No, nothing? Okay, with that, John. The actuary?
Mark Tiskevich, Office of the Actuary by invitation.
Okay, very good. With that, John, I guess you'll go with the introductions of the people when you need them?
So Joe, I just want to acknowledge that there are several members of the Bureau of Asset Management team that will identify themselves in the event that they participate verbally in the meeting. With that, I'd like to turn it over to Schumann to make an introduction.
Yes, I want to introduce Kevin Liu. Kevin, are you there? Can you turn on your camera? Works? Not likely. Maybe I doesn't have one yet. Anyway, he's our newest addition, Mopi. He joins us as a senior investment advisor. He comes from the Alaska Retirement Management Board, where he was an investment analyst and a portfolio manager overseeing global equity fund of $14 billion. He just started yesterday, so you'll be seeing more of him in here.
Welcome, Kevin.
So, if he knew Gail Schubert, she was on the Alaska board this back, dealt with her conference.
Mike.
So if we're done reminiscing,
Take it easy. In our old age, reminiscing is a good thing.
So we have one item for the public. I'm going to turn it over to Allison Hirsch to walk us through the any comments she'd like to make about an email that she had sent regarding the STAR presentation.
I'm actually going to hand it over to Steve Meyer, the Chief Investment Officer.
Sure. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I'm happy to be here. So one of the things I want to talk about is I do believe Allison did send an email. It's about a strategic and tactical accountability review we're going to undertake, hopefully collectively. And I know that there had been work done several years ago on what was referred to as the Punchline Report.
Ooh.
Yeah, okay. Well, actually, I think the Punchline Report was actually very helpful in terms of BAM really organizing itself internally, putting best practices in place, both where we manage assets in-house, but more importantly, the systems and controls in place for managing the assets of the pensions. This review is going to be called the Strategic and Tactical Accountability Review, or the Accountability Review. It's going to be more outwardly focused, and we hope to work in close collaboration with the trustees of the 5 plans, their consultants, and really the objective is how can we be a more effective business partner within the Bureau of Asset Management? How can we better service the needs of the 5 plans? And those needs are varied across the plans, and how can we be a better business partner? So with that, I'll turn it over to Allison, maybe a few more details.
Sure, and the memo should be in everyone's inbox. I think I sent it on Friday morning. It's also in Convene. If you haven't had a chance to look it yet, I do encourage folks to take a look at it. What we're hoping to do is have each of the systems appoint an oversight committee that would work with BAM to execute the report and the review. The idea would be we'd have, myself and John from the Controller's Office, obviously Steve in his role as CIO, representative from the Mayor's Office of Pensions, and then for each of the 5 systems, 1 labor trustee, possibly 2 from NYSERS, given the makeup of NYSERS. And that the oversight committee would actually have authority to develop the scope in collaboration with us that goes into the RFP or to get a consultant to come in and actually do the interviews to hire the consultant. And then meet over the course of the review to continue oversight over the review process, what recommendations come out, and then ideally we get recommendations that we all collectively decide we either do or don't want to implement and move forward from there. I think in the memo you will see beginning ideas for things that we want to review. Again, the idea is that we would convene the oversight committee sometime ideally later this month to get started and discuss these ideas with you all, with the members of the oversight committee, and then develop a scope based on that discussion. Nothing in this memo is set in stone as review, but it's certainly things that, I don't want to speak for Steve, that since Steve has arrived, he said, why do we do this way? Why, like, is
Because
this the
it's
most
New York.
effective way?
I mean, this is
Right,
what we've
no,
always
but-
done it.
This is for, right, these are both things that, the questions about, similar questions that you might have asked, Joe, like, why do we do it this way? This doesn't make sense. Or internally within BAM, or,
It's also how we allocating resources that service the needs of the 5 plants, and I'm not so sure we're that efficient. And I do think that there's areas where we can be much better business partners and really deliver the needs. So one of the issue is the frequency of the meetings, how the meetings are held, the types of reports that we provide you. Is it hitting the mark? Are they too high level, not deep enough? All those things are, I think, fair game that we really need to reassess what we do, how we do it. And really the truth is, how can we be better business partners than BAM for the trustees and work with consultants more constructively?
Just the problem that I always had with the Funston report was that it was guided by the CIO at the time. So it reflected what the CIO wanted. Whether that was good or bad for BAM and the relationship with the trustees of the board, that's debatable. But I think if, from what I'm hearing, seems like you want to put it in the right direction. And I'm happy with that thought. I'm not sure if this is the process, but I definitely want to review it and talk about it. At least I'll speak for myself. I did mention this, labor trustees have our own meeting. We spoke about this. Everybody wants to give it a fair review. So based on what I hear today, you know, I told them I would go back and speak to them and give them my thoughts on it. Just a couple of minor questions. Like, where did you get the idea that, you know, the language, the thought process of a process within? Where did that come from? Was that generated from within, or did you have something outside helping to guide you to write this up?
That was, I read the Funston review, the whole 415 pages of it. I actually have the
I'll just say I did it a while ago. It was not fun reading either.
Well, it was very inwardly focused, Joe, you're right. And I think a lot of it had to do with just housekeeping and putting best practices in place within BAM. This is meant to be more working with our business partners in terms of how we can be more effective. So a lot of this was just reviewing what had been done, early observations, and I'm only in my 10th week, and I don't mean to say I have all the answers. I have more questions now than when I came in. But I do think this is a healthy start, and I've been working with Allison as well in terms of how this can work, the process in place. I've talked to a number of the colleagues, my senior colleagues, with Dan as well, getting ideas for how this may take shape.
Kim, can I just to take a step further back? When Brad got elected in November and, you know, I came on in January as Brad, and I did some meetings last winter with folks and came in, one big idea that had popped up a couple of times that I know had been discussed at prior meetings was like the Funston 2.0, right? And there was both within BAM, staff wanting to bring Funston back to do analysis of where we were, you know, 6 years after that, 7 years after that report, and having the sort of folks who are there from the prior administration having a vision for that, and trustees saying that didn't work. We never even saw, I mean, we know that the 415-page report that Steve saw, that I saw, was not actually the whole report. There were sections that never saw the light of day, as far as I know. And Brad, I think it's been clear for the last 9 months that Brad actually wants to be coordinated and work with the trustees and not work without. And so there was sort of a confluence of issues. One, Brad knowing as a controller when we came in January that there needed to be some kind of assessment done in partnership with the trustees. And then when Steve started, he separately said, I feel like we need to do some kind of analysis to make sure that BAM is servicing the trustees effectively. And not to speak for Steve, but that was very much the framework of his thinking, like how are we servicing trustees? And so we met with Brad and talked about this, and Brad had his hands in sort of developing the structure of the oversight committee to make sure that and the first draft, I'm going to be very transparent of this. I didn't have anyone with any votes, and Brad was like, no, the oversight committee should actually get to vote on what the scope is and contract, and ideally everyone concurs and it's not contested, but if there's a vote, there's a vote. So that was sort of the process. It was all internal. There has not been any engagement of anybody outside of the controller's office on development.
So I said, I'm gonna, from my perspective, I'm gonna read through it again, look through it. The way I tend to look at it is the worst case scenario before I start. And I look for obvious flaws in where the process can go awry. And any questions I have with thought process on something that I see could be a problem, I will bring to you and then we could talk about it. And then hopefully, we can get to a place where, this can be done and people feel comfortable with it. So, at least for my organization, and I don't pretend to speak for everybody else here, so. But, yeah, we'll just review it. All right, thank you.
And we are having this conversation with all 5 of the sons of.
Yes, including Burke's, right? There you go.
We are now.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so it goes without saying, if there's additional questions, just let us know. You can let us know offline. But that is a good segue into the next portion of the meeting, which is the executive session. So with that, I'll make a motion that we enter into executive session to discuss investment matters.
Second, TBA.
Okay. No, they're not. We're not muted, right? No, we're not. Okay. So Kevin?
Okay, during the executive session, the trustees heard presentations from their consultants, BAM, and several managers regarding private equity and real estate. Decisions were made. Those decisions will be made public at the appropriate time.
With that, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, thank you. We stand adjourned.
All right.
Can you just